Ang katapat lang nitong pagkain ko, ano lang yan, teka, medyo mababa. Ang katapat lang nitong pagkain ko, coke lang yan. Coke lang, sandali ha. Hindi ako marunong magtaas nito eh. Ayan, natakpan, sandali. Kukuha ako ng patungan. Alam mo, kailangan ko yung pag nagbibideo ako yung tawag yan para makita. Kailangan ko ng patungan kaya. Ayan. Mag-pray muna ako, sandali. Nasaan na yung remote ko? Ayun. Nge. Nalakas pala yung remote ko. Ay. Makinig at sumunod. Na. Ang lamig yata. Replay. Sarap naman eh. Katapat lang niyang coke. Ang sarap pa rin. Natulog ako pagka almusal ko. Hapon na dito ngayon. Hindi ako natulog nga. Di pa kayo rin. Ayan, kakain ako salad. Ang sarap-sarap nito. Tapos lagyan mo lang ng... Alam ko meron akong pampalutong. Tingnan ko nga. Kung may pampalutong ako, sandali ha. Lalong kalat. Makinig at sumunod. Nasaan yung pampalutong? Bakit wala? Ako meron akong pampalutong dito eh. Ayun. Ayan, meron pa akong chicharon. Ang sarap din ito. Saka ito, ang sarap dito sa ano. Ito meron akong pampalutong. Nagugutom ako talaga. Ayan. Alas 5 yata yung viewing ni Brother Santos. So, hindi ako makakapunta kasi nga inuubo ako. Grabe. So, kung gusto ko pumunta, hindi naman pwede. Saan kaya yung ano ko? Malamig yata. Sarap. Gutom ako. Ang hirap kainin nito eh. Kutsarahan pa, huwag na. Sa umpisa nagtitinidor pa kunwari. Tingnan ko itong chicharon. Sa Mexican, ano ko ito binili sa bagong luto. Patayin ko ilaw doon. Iwanag. Mm. Mm. Makikita lang. Hindi ko pa natatawagan mga kaasin na. Maya na ha. Gusto ko magpahinga dahil day. Bukas ka gala. Ang tumpa. Harap ko may suka. Wala akong suka. Sandali. Gusto ko tuloy magpaksiw. Tapos paksiw. Hindi naman ako makalaya. Akong ano suka. Suka, asaan ka na? Ito wala yung suka. Suka, asaan ka? Asaan ka na suka? Puti. Dato puti. Yung ginawa si Miles, isang kaya ni Romel. Sarap ng suka ni Kuya Miles. Ayun, sa taas. Hindi ko naman maabot. Doon naman si Romel naman. Pagkataas-taas niya nilagay yung suka. Akit pa ako. Huwag na nga. Wala lang. Suka na lang yung ano, dato puti. Si Romel kasi inakyat niya yung suka nito sa dulo ng walang hanggan. Ano ba yan? Naririnig niyo yung pa ako. Anood ako ng news. Nagbe-blurry pa rin yung mata ko. Sa totoo lang. Ito suka ko yung mantumaan. Sarap.
As my hometown Buffalo Bills prepare for a major playoff matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals this Sunday, we're getting new information about Damar Hamlin's condition. CNET Sports anchor Corey Wire is joining us. He's outside the Bills Stadium in Orchard Park right outside of Buffalo. He's got details. It's been nearly 3 weeks since Damar Hamlin's on-field collapse during that earlier game against the Bengals. What are you learning about his recovery as the Bills get ready for this big game on Sunday?
Well, if I got an update that reminds us just how scary and nearly
nagbablaro yung mata ko.
business rep Jordan Rooney told me earlier today that Damar still requires oxygen. He gets winded easily. His heart is monitored regularly, and he has a lengthy
Nag-recover
recovery.
na si
He also
ano,
said that Damar is staying
si
positive.
Damar.
He's ready to overcome. His teammates are feeling not only uplifted, but as defensive end AJ Epinesa said, that they also feel more settled now that Damar's been back around the team in the building behind me. Here's what some of his other teammates have had to say this week.
It's been good to see him, smile on his face, and guys love having him back in the building.
To see three just smile and just wave and just put his hearts up and keep it pushing, it's a positive energy bubble that's just floating around the facility.
Energy bubble like whoop, that was you in the stadium last weekend when you were here. Damar Hamlin continues to unite this team and countless others. Check these out, whoop. The entire team will be freed up as star offensive lineman Dion Dawkins said. Roger Saffold, Von Miller, all posting these Damar Hamlin
Bata pa ito eh. Parang anak ko lang ito si ano.
quote on the back, Wolf. It says, if you get a chance to show some love today, do it. It won't cost you
Number
anything.
3 pala siya.
Support, Wolf, for Damar, of course, and also these Buffalo Bills who've become a bit of America's team, if you will, here over these past several weeks.
Just a coincidence, I'm sure, but it's interesting, Corey, and give me your thoughts, that the game starts at 3 p.m. Eastern.
You know, it really is incredible. That number has been popping up
Katapat
so
ng
many
coke.
times.
Aray, ang
And
bigat
it's
na
really
coke.
taken over. I talked to two fans yesterday, well, Emily and Aaron, repping the Bengals and the Bills, and they started a joint fan base Facebook page, Hearts for Hamlin and Higgins, and they're rallying together to raise heart health awareness and encourage our folks to get
Makikita ko ni Mary
and of
na
course
inom
raise
akong
money
cold.
to help those who need it.
And we of course wish DeMar Hamlin only the very best. Boy, thank you very much. We'll stay in very close touch. To our viewers, thanks very much for watching. Aaron Burnett, our friend, starts right now.
Up right next, the U.S. going after the Wagner Group, the private Russian military force.
Ah.
Are they go to the washer and wash?
No, take it out.
By the day. Plus, George Santos' double life. New pictures of the embattled Republican congressman performing as a drag queen in Brazil. Picture Santos denies are him. And the Idaho murder suspect reportedly visiting a restaurant where two of the victims worked just weeks before they were stabbed to death. What did he do there? Let's go out front. And good evening, I'm Erin Burnett. Out front tonight, President Biden makes a promise. A promise to Ukraine, give whatever it needs.
Ukraine's going to get all the help they need.
All the help they need. It comes as the U.S. today targets the private Russian military force, the Wagner Group, designating it a transnational criminal organization. And the Wagner Group is what is leading Putin's war right now. Right now, making the only known progress on the battlefield for Putin. That means the man running Russia's most powerful.
Parang gusto ko kape, ayoko na ako.
Here is Jenny Prigozhin publicly declaring that his men are the ones who captured a town just outside the key city of Bakhmut.
We can safely say that the settlement of Klishivka, which is one of the most important suburbs of
Talaga
Bakhmut,
yung
has
mata ko
been
blur
taken
itong
under
ano.
the control
Toto,
of Wagner PMC
itong
units,
left side.
exclusively
Papatingin ko
by
nga.
Wagner PMC units. Klishivka has been liberated.
Walang
It's
gupit yung
incredible,
buhok ko.
exclusively by Wagner. Wagner is not the Russian defense, it's not the Russian military. It's a separate group, and he's emphasizing this word exclusively, that it was he and not they. And he's taking it even further than that. He has been openly criticizing Russia's official military leaders.
В этом году победим. I've had the deepest combat experience for 8 years now. In many
Oh,
ways,
sarap ng
vastly
chicharon.
superior to the experience of those who have been in the service of the defense ministry for decades.
Walang
It's
dalawa lang
incredible,
ako.
right? And what is most incredible about all of that is that Vladimir Putin appears to be completely fine with it. And maybe that's why Russian
Hanggang
politicians
dalawa
are
lang
also
kasi.
happy to back Prigozhin in a sort of Prigozhin versus the Russian military institution. Just look at this picture from prominent Russian lawmaker Sergei Mironov. You see him there, he is holding a sledgehammer. It is a Wagner sledgehammer. This is a
Ang
very
sarap ng
Wagner picture.
chicharon.
Because Wagner boasts about having the sledgehammer as their official symbol. So why? Why? Because the sledgehammer was used to murder a Wagner Group fighter who tried to flee the battlefield last year.
Ako lang.
They were brandishing it. And while Russia's official military suffers from lack of pretty much everything as basic as ammunition when it comes to fighting, Prigozhin appears to be more weapons for their completely own supply chain. Take a look at these pictures. I'm going to show you this. These we understand.
Totoo lang, ginawa ko dito sa baba. Ang lamig sa kwarto namin, may heater eh.
Weapons that, according to the United States, then went straight to Prigozhin's and Wagner fighters in Ukraine. And the concern tonight is that North Korea might deliver even more lethal
Kaya ako napapapikit, Jasmine. Yung mata ko blur yung isa.
Ben Wiedemann is out front live in Kramatorsk, Ukraine. And Ben, you're there on the ground in Bakhmut today, where some of the fiercest fighting is taking place. You hear Prigozhin claiming victory in a suburb of Bakhmut. What did you see in here?
Well, Aaron, we've been going to Bakhmut fairly regularly for the past 2.5 weeks or so. And
Lamig.
what we're
Ang
seeing is
ginawa
that
ko.
the fighting is just getting more and more intense. And that the Russian noose
AJ?
Bakhmut is tightening.
In the trenches outside Bakhmut, border crew is at work.
Matamad na ako umakyat. Kung ko yung road ko.
Russian
Lamig.
forces on the verge of encircling the city.
The refrain among these troops, we need more.
Oh, speaks about dance. Yes, of course, dance is most powerful for our time machines on the field. But now it's 21st century. We need not only dancing, we need aviation.
Around Bakhmut, slowly and steadily, the Russians are gaining ground. Thursday, Yevgeny Prigozhin, head of the Wagner Group, claimed his troops, and only his troops, took the village of Klishivka, just south of the city. In a dugout, this officer, nicknamed Koleso, explains Wagner's tactics.
В основному тактика вони продвигаються.
Gwapo ng ano nila, private Russian army.
But we have to use lots of ammunition against them, he says. The next wave of troops is
Batang
light
bata.
vision. They're better trained and better equipped.
Щоб ми
Tactics seemingly from a different day and age, inflicting mounting casualties on Ukrainian forces. This soldier was critically wounded when his armored personnel carrier
Kawawa
was
naman.
struck by Russian fire. Much of Bakhmut is now a ghost town. The sound of shelling, the danger of constant. Inside this tunnel inside Bakhmut,
Lumikas na yung mga tao.
there's incoming rounds just nearby. The few civilians left resigned to their fate. People die from strikes everywhere. Even Dnipro, says Valentina.
Chicharon.
If that's your destiny, death will lead you anywhere.
Kami. Ang sarap ng suka. Yun.
On a hill above the city, the Soviet-era T-72 tank fires into the distance. With sound and fury,
Pag
perhaps
amoy
not
labas
enough
ko,
to turn the tide.
amoy suka ako.
And that tank, that T-72 tank is more than 50 years old. We've seen other artillery, for instance, that dates back to 1950, older than me. And this is why the Ukrainians are so
May time na ang linaw na mata ko, may
using
time na
modern
bolero.
weapons to fight the Russians. And we heard the deputy defense
Ang
minister
tingog.
of
Excuse
Ukraine
me.
say today
With my
that
left eye.
Ukraine is disappointed with the German hesitance to provide them with these Leopard 2 tanks.
Meron pa
And they
pala
say
akong
they
macaroni
really need
sa
these
halan.
weapons, and they need them now.
Ancient, right? Any method of modern warfare weapons. They want this cluster.
Ang lamig.
Precision munitions. They want all of it. Thank you so much, Ben Wheaton. And now, retired Air Force Colonel Cedric Layton and Peter Rao just wrote an extensive article about Wagner Group Chief Evgeny Prigozhin. He's director of the Hudson Institute Center on Asia. Colonel Layton, let me start with you. When you hear Ben talking about Bakhmut, where he spent so much time, and saying Russia is slowly and steadily gaining ground, you know, you hear Prigozhin today
Ang chicharon.
claiming he exclusively, right, took a suburb village south of Bakhmut. How significant is the Russian performance here? I mean, you understood, you know, Soledar, that it was very clear, was a marginal to no strategic importance. Bakhmut is different.
Yeah, it sure is there. I mean, the key thing here is that although Bakhmut is not the center of great industry or the center of a military base, it is astride one of the main highways that leads into eastern Ukraine. And so because of that, and also because of the symbolic nature that both sides have really made of this town, the idea here for the Russians is to capture it at any price. They don't really care what they're capturing. The main fact is that they're capturing something, and so Bakhmut has become this kind of a symbol for both the Russians and for the Ukrainians.
Mukhang concentrate ako ngayon sa
It's
pagkain
basically a
ko.
symbol of resistance for the Russians.
Pagod
It's a
ako
symbol,
magana.
they hope, of their victory in the future and in weeks to come.
Right, to have any kind of victory, and of course, within Russia, you've got the Russian military, and you've got the Wagner Group led by Evgeny Prigozhin. So you've got this war going on inside Russia's military operation. And Peter, you know, we heard Prigozhin claiming that the Wagner Group is exclusively
Ang sarap
liberating
nitong
south
ano,
of
kuruton.
Bakhmut. Those are the words he used,
May
of course, to
cheese,
take full credit.
cheese and garlic.
I'll tell you more of what he said in this video.
But Peter, I bet they
The armed forces of Ukraine
Ah, yeah.
work clearly and harmoniously. We have a lot to learn from them. But in any case, the units of PMC Wagner are moving forward meter by meter.
Mahal ko. Tupo ko siya ko.
But in there, something significant. We have a lot to learn from them.
Cheese ano, cheese and garlic. Sarap.
Complimenting them. What is the goal here?
Well, I think Yevgeny Prigozhin is obviously an oligarch and kleptocrat, which is what the modern day
Bukod na ako,
Russian
tama
masses for
na
a
yan.
businessman, but he does not just have pecuniary interest, which has been long speculated that he wants to capture these parts of Ukraine because of the salt mines or the gypsum mines, lucrative parts of Ukraine and its vast resources. Now by stepping out and in recent weeks also, for example, claiming credit for the Internet Research Agency, which he established in Russia's second city, St. Petersburg, from which Western intelligence claims that the Russians have been sowing discord in Western societies. On top of that, he has
Nanonood lang ako
also
ng
bragged
mga
about
movie.
regular deployments in Africa, where
Gusto ko na ito,
for example, in
kaya.
Mali, they have attempted to push out the French, or in Syria, where they openly challenged the United States in combat. Now, increasingly, by pushing out, he's becoming much more than just
Ang dami ko
a
pang ano eh.
kleptocrat oligarch, if you will.
Protons.
He's now becoming a political military figure, and clearly he is aiming at the
Sarap.
power structure in Moscow, and I'd say he's doing that in two respects. One, through these open comments, which he's
Ay.
making, and the second, through sleepy produced
Naaman
videos
siya.
that the Concord Group, which is his public relations outfit, has been releasing of him visiting the front lines, cutting a strong figure, leading his troops, so to speak, towards combat. All of that, I think, suggests a transformation and a real move towards power in Moscow.
Well, it's significant when you talk about business interests. He's got his own PR group, all of this. This isn't just a person who has some mercenaries running around that he gets from prisons. It's just important for people to understand the context and the depth here. So, Colonel Layton, when you look at where this is going and you look at Prigozhin's forces, 50,000 or so, although we know, 80% of those may be prisoners, according to most of those, and Putin's military itself, can Ukraine win against that combined manpower?
Well, if Ukraine doesn't get the help from the West that it needs, and if it doesn't have a way of replenishing its manpower, then it's going to be pretty tough for
Ang
Ukraine
gulo-gulo
to
ng
actually pull out a
daigdig talaga.
decisive victory. What they'll need to do is they'll need to have greater tactics, use of more innovative tactics. They've done a lot of good things so far in this war, but of course the Russians are watching, and as Prigozhin said, he is learning from the Ukrainians, and that, as you mentioned, was a compliment, but it's also a warning.
Kailangan
They're
tayo
paying
na
attention, and they're going to use what the Ukrainians do
news
against
para
the
alam
Russians
natin
if they can.
All
nangyayari.
right, thank you very much, Colonel Layton. Peter Bell, thank you so much for your time. Peter, hope everyone will read your latest article on Yevgeny Prigozhin. Because this comes as Russia continues to threaten a new invasion from Ukraine's massive northern border, which is with Belarus. Russia and Belarus today conducted joint military drills. And it comes as Belarus's government is holding Putin-esque sham trials against political enemies, even putting an empty cage out at this trial, a cage that was supposed to hold Belarus's exiled opposition leader, Svetlana Tishanovskaya. She is being tried in absentia on charges including high treason and conspiracy to seize power. She wasn't, though, even given a copy of the charges. And I spoke to her earlier. We began our conversation by asking her about the trial against her.
And of course, this trial will not change anything for me personally and for other pro-democratic movement. We understand that in trials,
Ang sarap ng proton. Ayoko na.
nothing
Ay!
to do with justice in Belarus. Of course, all these charges you
Nahulog.
mentioned are ridiculous, in contrast to Lukashenko being
Nasa-set.
everything according to law and being peaceful, and with Lukashenko who seized the power and unleashed terror. Overall, according to all those charges, it's about 11 of them. According to the so-called judge, I might be sentenced to 12 to 20 years in jail. But we should understand that this trial is also one of regime's and I need material of this situation to protect myself in international courts after this.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that the sentence that they could give you in absentia is 12 to 20 years. And I know that, your husband is also a political prisoner in Belarus. He is currently serving an 18-year sentence. It started in December of 2021. High security penal colony, I understand, Stefani. He openly ran against and criticized the current president, Alexander Lukashenko. So Belarus
Ang sarap na
recently
naman
brought
nakain
new criminal
ko
charges against your husband. And I know you and I have talked here as you have indefatigably taken the world stage to fight for democracy in Belarus. You have 2 children you are raising, and you've talked about how they still wait for their father, their daddy, every day. Do they still have that hope that they'll see him back?
Well, of course, look, I don't even have doubt that our family will rejoice, we will live in Belarus, and my children will meet their old friends in my country. So of course it might take time.